Volcanic eruptions have long been the topic of many books and papers. Towns getting wiped from the Earth's surface by an unknown volcanic eruption. Pompeii is a famous one, a small town in southern Italy that seemingly disappeared 2,000 years ago, only to be discovered in the 1700s, and it's still being excavated to this day. But what was the largest eruption in human history? This one might surprise you. Today we'll be discussing the eruptions of Krakatoa and Mount Tambora. Volcanoes form in many ways, but the most common is when two plates converge. When this happens, magma fills in between and rises to the surface. Volcanoes are dangerous for many reasons. When they erupt, ash is thrown into the air. This ash falls and covers almost everything on the ground, killing the plants and the animals that eat those plants. The most known feature is obviously the magma, the melted rock that rises from the mountain. It burns almost everything in its path. The first recorded eruption was Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. This is also one of the most famous volcanic eruptions. The city was lost for 2,000 years until excavators recently discovered the buried remains. It shows us a lot about the nature and the damage that volcanoes can cause. Krakatoa is a small island located in the Sunda Strait in India. It lies on the Indian, Australian, and Eurasian plates. Over millions of years, magma from under the plates rose and formed a large cone-shaped mountain 6,000 feet above sea level in the middle of the ocean. Eventually, it erupted and left a large caldera or bowl-shaped form in the ocean. Parts of the caldera rose and formed islands. By 1883, 3 peaks were present: Purbawatan in the northern part, Danan in the middle, and Rakata in the south. Rakata formed the largest of the 3. No major eruptions had been recorded before the 1883 eruption. On May 20th, 1883, ash spewed out of one of the cones, heard as far as Batavia, and many ships reported seeing ash rise above Krakatoa as high as 6 miles. But as June rolled around, the activity ground to a halt. But on June 19th, it came back, and this time even harder. On August 26th, violent explosions began in Purbawatan at around 1 o'clock, throwing rocks and debris 15 miles into the air. An hour later, a 17-mile-high cloud of ash rose above Krakatoa. Then, at 10 a.m., a massive blast, more than 4 SAR bombs, rocked the world. The blast was heard as far as Perth, Australia. The blast threw ash 50 miles into the air, throwing the surrounding regions into complete darkness for almost 3 days. Debris was flung into the air as far as 5 cubic miles, with a radius of 300,000 square miles. Pumice flung into the water stopped ships from getting near or around the islands. Almost all of the former islands sank into the ocean, but eventually new ones formed due to the magma rising to the surface and forming islands. The island of Krakatoa was uninhabited, so only a small portion died directly from the eruptions. But the most dangerous part was not in the moment, but after. You see, when the earth shakes, such as in a volcanic eruption or an earthquake, it rocks the ocean. Waves form, and soon these small waves grow into huge waves. These are called tsunamis. But a common misconception about tsunamis is that you can see them in the open ocean. This is not true. Tsunamis are, after all, waves. Waves only rise because as they rush towards the land, the ground acts as a ramp, pushing the wave up. In the case of a tsunami, the waves form massive walls of water that can kill thousands of unfortunate people. Anyways, back to the eruption. Tsunamis slammed into the coast, but the tsunamis were not caused by the eruption, but by the collapse of the volcano itself. The extreme displacement of water formed waves that soon turned into killer tsunamis. The greatest waves crashed into the shores of Java and Sumatra, both islands close to Krakatoa, just after the blast. Many more waves hit shores, though, even recorded as far as Hawaii and South America. The effects of the eruption were felt for many years to come. Particles of ash traveled across the world, clouding skies and causing reddish-orange sunsets. The ash also fell on close-by islands and covered almost everything. Many of the plants and animals died because of this. The root cause of almost every volcano is sliding tectonic plates. When a plate slides under, magma rushes in and fills the spot, and rises to the surface. In this case, the Indo-Australian plate slid underneath the Asian Sumatra plate. The 3 peaks of Krakatoa formed as the pressure valve for the magma, but the opening in Purbawatan filled with debris, causing a buildup of pressure. Soon it blew. The global temperature fell as the thick cloud of dust and ash fell. It caused strange weather effects all around the world. Krakatoa is also more known because it erupted just after the invention and installment of a global telegraph system. Not much is known about the eruption of Mount Tambora, since it erupted in a time where, by the time that the news was out, months had passed. Mount Tambora is located on Sumbawa Island in Indonesia, It's on the same plates that Krakatoa is. Signs of trouble began on April 5, 1815. Small earthquakes and pyroclastic surges began to happen. A pyroclastic surge is when a surge of hot gases and rock rush down the side of a volcano. They are extremely dangerous as they travel very fast and without warning. Then, 5 days later, a massive blast shook the earth. It was as much as 33 billion tons of TNT. The blast showered debris almost 36 cubic miles. The coming tsunamis and pyroclastic blasts killed at least 10,000 people and destroyed thousands of homes. Mount Tambora was about 14,000 feet high before the catastrophic blast, but after the blast, all that remained was a 4-mile-wide caldera. The most famous aspect of the eruption was what was in the year to come. The ash and the sulfur expelled into the atmosphere blocked off a lot of sunlight from reaching the ground. The global temperature dropped by 3 degrees Celsius. In parts of the northern hemisphere, snow fell from June to August. Around 80,000 people died due to famine, disease, and weather conditions caused by the aerosols in the air. 1816 was known as the year without a summer. Volcanic eruptions have long filled the minds of people. To many, they're very scary, but volcanoes are not all death and destruction. When new volcanoes form, the hardened magma forms rock. This is how new islands are formed. Plants also grow very well in the rock. Volcanoes are constantly being studied and monitored. Eruptions have and can be predicted. Signs show, and scientists have tools to measure the likelihood of an eruption. Volcanoes may be a symbol of destruction, but they are also a sign of life. I hope you enjoyed this video, and make sure to like and subscribe for more.